Fellow Toastmasters, we don't have any honored guests. The year is 1519, and you have just disembarked from one of 5 ships accompanied by 500 of your closest companions. And you are stoked because you're looking forward to following Hernando Cortez to steal everything the Aztecs have. And guess what? If this plan doesn't work out, we've got 5 ships back here that can take us right back to Cuba. Wait, Carlos, you smell something? What is that, smoke? Oh my God. That damn Cortez just burned our ships. I guess I'm committed. In 2004, I had an experience with commitment that I'm going to share with you. I was working at the time as a software engineer, a senior software lead at General Dynamics. And I had this great idea. I am going to write a best-selling series of books. And I know I can do that. I just got to put my mind to it and have a plan. And my plan was I am going to spend a little chunk of time every night and on weekends, and I'm going to knock it out a piece at a time. And I started doing that, and the plan was working fine. I'd knock out a chunk, knock out another chunk, knock out another chunk, and I was progressing. And then I made a horrible error. I read what I'd written, and I didn't like it. And I thought, oh my God, this is terrible. I've got to do something about this. So what I did is I went back and I started reworking what I written. And I reworked it, and then I added a little bit more. And I came back the next time, I still wasn't happy with it, and I got in this horrible habit where I would rework what I had written, and then I'd write a little bit more, but I kept getting slower and slower and slower. One day my wife, Carol, came to me, and she said, Rick, finish the damn book. You can get it edited later. And I thought, bang, what a revelation. But you know, I had a deeper revelation that day. I realized I really wasn't committed to writing these books. It was a lark for me. My mind was telling me, you can't do this, and I'm going to find you a way out of doing this. And right then I had to make the decision, am I going to really commit to doing this, not just to writing this novel, but to writing the series and getting the series published and doing what it takes to make it a bestseller. And I committed that day to doing that. And I finished that book within 2 years. I got it edited, and I started in on my second book in the series. And I was like, okay. But then I hit a huge obstacle. I didn't know how to get it published. I read a couple of books on that, and they said, you need an agent with a big agency to take this book and introduce it to these big publishers. So I formatted my cover letter, I wrote my manuscript, and I submitted that to agency after agency after agency. And then I stood back and I waited. And then I waited. And I got 0 responses, none. And I decided, okay, well, I'm just going to submit directly to the publishers. So plan B, I submitted directly to publishers. Nothing. Now I say, oh, crap, I'm at plan C. Plan C is I spend a lot of money and I pay to have it self-published. And I did that. I committed to buying a couple thousand books and spending a ton of money. And they produced beautiful books. And I had this garage full of beautiful books collecting dust because I couldn't sell them. So I continued on. I'm writing my second novel. And I go out to Barnes & Noble and I try to introduce the book to them. And they say, no, we only take books from traditional publishers. I did manage to get it into some small stores like Changing Hands. But I was shocked to discover they didn't put my book up in the front window with J.K. Rowling. They stuck my novel back in the back corner where nobody's going to see it. So now I'm to plan D. Plan D was, let's try out this thing called a Kindle. And I'm going to write my books on the Kindle and publish it for free. So I started doing that. And I published the first one on the Kindle, set my pricing, and then I was closing in on finishing my second book. Well, my sales on the Kindle were, a couple of dozen a month. It grew to about 100 a month over the next year. And then in 2010, I published my second novel. An amazing thing happened. It was as if the universe stood aside and said, this guy's serious. He's actually committed. I'm not going to waste my time trying to stop this guy. I am going to step aside, let this guy through, and I'm going to go stop some other poor schmo. In October of 2010, I sold over 1,000 copies for the first time. In October, I sold more than 3,000 copies. In November, that was 12,000 copies. In December, it was 18,000. And in January 2011, I sold more than 28,000 copies of my books. I had the #1 and #2 best-selling science fiction novels on all of Amazon. And like that, I had an agent. I had a publishing contract. And Carol and I were high-fiving and going, yeah, this commitment thing works. And over the next 8 years, I published 12 novels. I've sold more than 1 million copies of my books on Amazon. In summary, when the universe tells you to stop, all it's really doing is saying, you've got a problem with your plan. I'm going to test your commitment. And if you put in the effort and you confront that and you revise your plan and set sail for your goal, you have an opportunity to achieve things you would not believe. Because at that point in time, when the universe becomes convinced you are truly committed and will do what it takes, then it steps aside and says, please, make your way. Mr. Toastmaster.